Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. It is yours truly, CEO of Synergetic Network Group, LLC, where we are your community liaison for entrepreneurs and consumers. And it's on once again, it's SNG highlighting on the platform. We have Queen Taese in the building. She is an established author, and she deals with homeschooling. And as we know, this is a solution-based ministry. We don't complain about it, we do something about it. And this is the answer to our problem right here. Queen Taese is going to share some pointers with us in regards to homeschooling. So if you would be so kind at this time to share and invite, that'd be great. Let us know what city and state you're tuning in from. Remember, we help families to build generational wealth via business and investing. So remember, also put your business information in the comment block, because we cannot support a business that we don't know nothing about. Again, it's yours truly, CEO of Synergetic Network Group, LLC, Amari, my queen, Amani. Amari is the executive director. Just feeling that vibe over there, y'all. How you doing, Queen?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hey, you know, we definitely appreciate the invitation, acceptance. Yeah, I seen the great work that you're doing over there, and your body of work is definitely what we need in our community. Your vibration, that feminine energy to bring balance in the community. You know, you have that spiritual connection. And so when I went into the page, man, I was just absolutely blown away by your vibration. I mean, you're an author, you're a speaker, you know, you're a teacher, you know, you're a poet, you know, you're an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my goodness, you know what I'm saying? You like the Kamala Harris of the hood. you taking dominion, Queen. How you doing over there? What's going on with you? I mean, you got all type of programs going on, audio visuals, and all type of classes empowering the youth. You know, talk to us today. How you feeling? You know, about what you got going on over your so we can support
you. I'm feeling great. You know, the time is now, and what I always love to say is our culture is our cure. So, you know, it's just digging deeper and being able to really give our children the utmost opportunities, you know, to reach their divine purpose and the divine greatness. And we got no excuses, only results. So, you know, liberated minds, that's what we're about. You know, our whole goal is to be able to, you know, teach parents to use homeschooling as an opportunity to allow their children to reach their dreams, their goals, you know, to be financially abundant, to be spiritually abundant, you know, to be able to access all that is due, all their birthright. So that's what we do. You know, I'm loving this journey and just taking advantage of every opportunity to connect with our people such as yourself and others who are doing great things. You know, this is the time for us to really come together. So I appreciate the invite, being here.
You definitely are welcome. You know, you are absolutely right. And that's the reason why we invited you to come on too, because as you had said, that this is a fertile time, and now we have parents at home. You know, now children are learning from home, going to school.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, talk to us about what inspired you to go into this body of work as it relates to homeschooling. You know, and why is that so vital to the African family?
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, I've been homeschooling now almost 25 years. And, wow. You know, initially I didn't know anything about homeschooling. And I want to say that because, you know, life is the evolution of learning and growing and evolving, right? And just seeking. So it really started with me seeking for something greater than a public school option. And being relentless and saying, you know, there's no way my children are going to public school because of, you know, my ideology and what I wanted to see, you know, them be able to bring forward their gifts, their talents, their livelihood, their being. And I really wanted to be a huge part of that on a daily basis. So I just began to search initially for other options, and I kind of divinely stumbled upon homeschooling, realizing that, there weren't many of us doing it. There was mainly a white women Christians thing at the time, and there wasn't any groups with Black people or people of African ascent, that really,
Absolutely.
that we didn't have a whole lot going on. Now I see now that there were several of us that were doing the work, but we had our pockets in our own families that we were working with. So that's how the inspiration really just came out of a love of our children. I've always loved working with children when I was a child, even myself. So I think that just was the organic step for me to be in the driver's seat of my own children's education and being able to supply that love and energy and opportunities for others as well.
I noticed that you are a woman that has connected with who she is, not only naturally, but spiritually. How does that tie into the homeschooling piece? How do we incorporate that piece into that?
Yes, I think it is the foundation of the homeschooling piece, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And when we approach it from that space, the public school system is really carrying out someone else's agenda, not the agenda of our children to be able to grow into who they are. And so we have to remember, anything that we participate in, especially something that is institutionalized like the public school system, we have to realize that it was not created for us. And so if it was not created for us, yes, there are some excellent educators within the system. I know some and know and love some myself. And there
Absolutely,
are some opportunities. However, there's only so much movement that you're going to make, because it was built upon a certain foundation to really subjugate us. And that's never going to change. We can move the furniture around a little bit in the house, right? We can make it look this way, make it look that way. But that foundation, that brick and mortar, right, is not going to budge. So that foundation is going nowhere. And so my whole thing is, education really is a very customized, personalized experience for our children. And it really should be tailor-made. It really should be in alignment with getting outside of the four walls, and making your life your curriculum, and living that on a different level. And it's a reciprocal process. So when we get out of the mindset that we're not equipped, because we're fully equipped. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. Thousands of years. We've been doing it successfully. And so we just have to get reconnected with, getting reconnected with who we are. And the foundation of that is our spirituality. So it brings it all back to the essence of, before we were born, when we were just spirit, before we came into the physical form, we were spirit, and we still are spirit. We always will be spirit. That's why we venerate our ancestors. That's why we call on our ancestors, because they exist in spirit. So if everything started with spirit and everything continues with spirit, then, when we talk about homeschooling and educating our children, it is a spiritual process.
Absolutely. And that indeed is a fact. How, Queen, do you feel like that plays a role as well in the economical side, as it relates to our children, learning the economics and things of that nature? Do you feel like that also contributes, the homeschooling, it contributes to the family economically as well?
It does. When we, I say when we detoxify from our own indoctrination, it can. And for those who want to take the time as parents, because, being a parent is a reciprocal process. So as our children are growing and learning, we're also supposed to be going through that same evolution, even as adults and as parents. A lot of parents will say, I pour everything into my child and there's nothing left. And so that's not really how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be where we're continuously feeding and filling our cup, so that way we can give. And also they're pushing us to be greater and to do things on a higher level. So when we look at it from that perspective, we have the opportunity to include everything that is of our empowerment in our curriculums. So yes, that deals with finances, that deals with health and wellness. It goes way beyond just a profession. It goes way beyond, you know, what the hottest career is and all of that stuff. It really is, like we said earlier, it's a spiritual experience. And when we embrace it from that perspective, then our children have the opportunity to be well-rounded and abundant in all areas. Because information means nothing if it's not empowering our community. So we can push down a whole lot of facts in our children, but if we're not questioning, is this valuable? Is this empowering? Is this shifting the paradigm that we live in? Because the paradigm we're in right now has not worked for us. So the whole point is we have to shift into what has been ours that we've thrown by the wayside. Some of us are still really in touch and in tune. We don't give ourselves the credit to know that our intuition is real and what we're feeling. And we've been told for so long and that we can't educate our own. We're not capable. We've been conditioned so long to allow others to take that responsibility that now we're seeing the effects of, parents going, oh my gosh, I can't teach my child. The child is home. What am I going to do? I got to spend time with them. These were natural things that we did as mothers and also as parents, is that we, everything was intentional about what we did and how we did it as African people. So now bringing that back, or I should say bringing it forward, right? Not going back, bringing it forward.
I like that. I like
that. Being, the infinite possibilities are there. And this to me, homeschooling is just, I say the road less traveled, but yet the road that opens up the opportunity for us to go so much deeper than what we could have ever imagined in the past.
That is absolutely powerful, Queen. If you would be so kind in your years of expertise, is there a more potent, if you will, learning ability that our children get from homeschooling versus actually learning from the public school? Like, are their scores higher and things of that nature?
I think it comes to, number one, it's building confidence, and your competence comes through your confidence, because you can teach whatever you want, but if a child is not loving learning, then if we're not fostering a love of learning, if we don't have them in environments that cultivate that love, then we end up with just someone who is shying away from their greatness. So I think it does, by us having a personalized and customized experience, we do have the opportunity to give our children what they need, to focus on what they love, and to create a curriculum, through the things that are interested in. A lot of what parents do is we have everyone else tell us what our children are supposed to learn. And one of the things I like to focus on is a mission statement. And I feel like we talk about mission statements with our businesses, but we don't talk about them with our families. And we have to be able to say, the mission statement is kind of like that tree trunk. It's the tree trunk that, with our children, everyone, the branch, our children are the branches. They're the ones that, we all have our own divine purpose, each of us in the family. But yet that tree trunk is the non-negotiables. It's what we want to instill in all of our children. It deals more with the morals, the values, the traditions, the spiritual basis of how we function as a family unit. And those are the things, when we talk about our ancient ancestors, that were culturally transmitted through socialization, through just being in the environment, having a common way of living. Whereas now I get a lot of the question of, well, do your children, what about socializing? And I said, well, I don't want my children socializing with everybody.
That's right.
What culture do you see where children are able to, that is successful, that is able to socialize with things that are against what the family principles are? So when you're in a public school environment, we can't keep our fingers on the pulse of who our children are talking to, what information. I say the cross-contamination of information, that children get and receive, and we know their peers are so influential in that. So when people talk about socialization, so my thing is, I want to create it. If I don't have it, I want to create social environments where my children can be nurtured, can be respected, can really feel good about themselves and thrive with the people that they're around. Because we all know it's the company we keep that means so much, even as adults, right? You keep low vibrations around you, low frequencies, then that's what your life is going to exude. So I think it's even more important for our children in the cultivation years, in the cultivation stages, that that we focus on that.
Wow, that is absolutely powerful, and I like the safe haven that our children have with the homeschooling piece, because they're not pressured into and I've been saying this for a while now, they're not pressured into saluting the flag that was constructed during the time our ancestors was enslaved, and also the Star Spangled Banner, which was created during that same time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so that bothers
Absolutely.
me. That bothers me. And so I feel like, this is a wonderful way to isolate our children from that, so they won't be subjugated to that, and they won't be penalized, for that as well. We're able to
That's right.
take a stand,
Yeah.
against those things, and unfortunately, when we put them in the hands of the public school system, in some cases, they're being subject to that, oh, you need to stand,
Yeah.
get
That's
out the
right.
class. It's like, nah,
Yes.
mm-mm,
I
that,
agree, because everything affirms their culture, everything around us, even the days of the week, the months of the year, all the things that we call out, the streets that we turn down, meet us on Columbus Avenue, it's just everything is affirming. So when you have that internally and you have it externally, the affirmation of a culture that is anti-you, then that is going to breed that within. And we already, to me,
that's right.
that's the true psychosis, when you are one thing but being forced to take on an identity of another. And
That's right.
I feel like homeschooling gives the opportunity to really dive into our culture and who we are, and embrace it, and being okay, be okay and feel okay embracing it, and learning together and growing together, and realizing that, it's a stage, it's not an age. So you might have a 5-year-old at the same stage as a 20-year-old in terms of finding out about our culture information. But if we deal with the stage that we're at and that our children are at, and don't try to pressure them into, oh, you're not reading yet, oh, you're not doing this yet, you're not doing that yet. It's using them. They should use themselves as their own measuring stick. And the whole premise should be, tomorrow you are better than you were the day before. And so not necessarily comparing the growth speed and how things evolve for each child, because everyone is different. So I think focus on that piece. It really it takes the competition out with others, which also is a big part of our own demise, because we've spent so much time trying to, like the crabs in the barrel syndrome. Like, I don't want you to do better than me, or you going up, I'm trying to pull you down, and all of that really feeds into that, because it breeds a competition, an unhealthy competition, with each other, instead of having us come together and work together. So one of the things I want to say also is that we can start wherever we are, because I get a lot of people. I know everybody's not going to homeschool. I know that. So when we know that, it's really about starting where you are. So if your child is in public school and you're thinking about the idea, see, everything happens in stages, right? So just the thought and the idea is a long way than where most people were, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, even yesterday, right? Just the thought and the possibility that you can do it, and you can. And I'm a testament to that. And there's many others now, that are doing this at the highest level, even with the challenges, because there are challenges. I'm definitely not speaking of it as if it's just totally simple and everything is smooth and easy. But you have to be willing to adjust into, just like we adjusted into this lifestyle, right? This chaos. We can also adjust into something that is more divine, that's more fit for us, that's more joyful, more pleasant, and will give our children the ultimate opportunities to do what they love and be successful at it, not at a certain age, but at a certain stage. So they can begin, if you got someone who's interested, some children, they know, from when they're 2, 3 years old, exactly what they're going to do. Really, because you see where their interest level lies, and you begin to nurture that, you begin to foster that. And the younger you do it, you know, the better. And there's no pressure with it. That's the difference. There's no test you have to take to see if you qualify. It's just it's a process. It's a system of the journey of having that flowing like water. You know, there's certain days you're gonna go in hard. It's just gonna be a beautiful day, but you'll never repeat that day. And I used to do that. We have a bad day, and I'm like, I want tomorrow to be just like today. And it's never going to be a repeat. So there's a different type of fluidity. It's just like when you become an entrepreneur and you're used to getting your paycheck every Friday. And then your paychecks, like it comes, you know, you get paid Monday and then Thursday, and you might not get paid for another 2 months, right? It's just you got to learn a different rhythm, a different frequency to adjust to. But yet, you know, that frequency of being an entrepreneur, knowing that you can bring money in anytime, definitely beats the frequency of just getting that Friday paycheck, right? So it's an adjustment of mindset, and it all starts with the mindset.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So being that you're talking about that, the legality piece, how does that work with those who want to homeschool? Because I know there has to be some type of legality piece as it relates to academia, like the requirements of the state. So how does that work?
Okay, you broke up for a minute. You said the legality piece. That's the last thing I heard.
Okay, cool. How does that work with the legality piece as it relates to academia, as far as meeting the prerequisites for the state and things of that nature? Like, how do you get yourself embedded in that piece so you know you can start rocking and rolling and
Right.
ensuring that you got things lined up? I don't want to divulge too much because I know you have a book too.
No, it's fine. It's fine. The main thing is that every state is different. And so depending on where you live, there's different requirements. And generally from when you're age 6 years old is when you legally have to register your child. And that's pretty much the same across the board here in the US. However, the guidelines may be different. Some states, like when I lived in New York City, you had to report attendance, you had to report the books you were using, the grades and things like that. Where I'm in Georgia now, Georgia's a little bit more liberal, where, you know, there's just different stipulations for each state. And yes, some states are a lot more rigorous and other states are a little bit more laid back, but you just have to know the regulations and guidelines of where you live. And I would say just to go online and find that information and then you know where to begin. There's the, what is it, the SDLA, I believe it is. They usually have the most accurate information. They're a legal institution, and they really keep up on a lot of that. So I would recommend going there. I have come across other websites that give the laws, but the laws sometimes change, and they're not as current and reliable. So I would say for people who wanted to go, I would go to the HSDLA website and look up their state, and it'll give the guidelines. And if you're not in the US, they also are, they also are worldwide. So you can find, and you know, I do a lot of work over in France as well and other countries. And when I go on and do research about that place, the HSDLA usually has information about there too, which kind of blew me away. I'm like, wow, they're really steeped in these laws all over, you know?
Okay, so what would they look for in their state? Would they go to like the city school district? Like where would they go online to begin? Or is it just that website that you just referred?
You there? Okay, there you go.
I am. Okay, do you need me to repeat my question?
I did not hear your question at all.
Okay, we'll work it out. So my question is, in their state, right? Would they go to like the school, the city school district, you know, the school board? Like where would they go in their state to even begin their search? Or would they go directly to that site that you just
right? They would go there directly. They go there directly, and once they see the guidelines, usually there's what's called a letter of intent. And a letter of intent, you would just look for a letter of intent for the state that you're in to homeschool, and that's where you normally would register. And the letter of intent is just basically saying that you intend to homeschool your child for this school year. You put your dates down. It has how many days is required for each state, what's required. And I would definitely make sure that you take some time to go over what the guidelines are. I know depending on the state, some states require you to be part of a homeschool association. Some, it just depends. I know South Carolina is like that. Either you have to be a part of, one of their local associations, or there's other options as well. So it's just really about doing your thorough research and keeping your records and making sure that if you don't know, you ask the question. And a lot of times, if you call to get the information, you want to ask, anything that they tell you, you want to ask, where can I find that in the literature? Because a lot of times what I have found is the people you talk to are not always well versed. And so, they'll come across like they know what they're talking about, but sometimes the information can be incorrect, especially with laws changing and homeschooling being on the surge, now. You want to find out whatever they tell you, where can I find that? Because you want to make sure that whatever you're going by, it's in writing. It's in writing. It's in there, so when you're signing your children up, you make sure that you're going over everything. If they say, oh, well, you don't need to do that, say, okay, well, where can I find that says I don't need to do that? Or where can I find that's along those lines that will tell me exactly what I need to do in that arena just to make sure that you're in alignment.
Wonderful. That is absolutely amazing. So family, I provided her information there, her website, also her book information. You can find it on her website there at www.liberatedmindsinstitute. I love that. I love that, by the way. I love that title. www.liberatedmindinstitute.com. You can find it there. Also, you can request for her to speak as well from there. All her email information, all those wonderful things you need to contact the queen is there. So I'm going to remove this for a moment so you can see the spelling of her name. Okay, there it is. It's Queen Taese. Okay, you can log that in on IG. Okay, as well. She's on Facebook with that same name. Okay, and you can follow her there. Queen Taese, before we end, Queen,
he brought me some water.
You the opportunity to share anything that you feel like you wanted to cover prior to us logging off on today that we didn't already discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it is just, I think the most important thing is that, it's just knowing that we can do it, and knowing that when you have the intention to move on this journey, like what in the world is better, right, than being able to nurture your children and being able to nurture yourself in that process and learning together. And we have to be able to start where we are. Like I said, if your children are in public school, that's all right. We're going to work with that too. You can start with creating your family mission statement, deciding what's most important. And just like they create a curriculum from start to finish, they want you to start here, and at the end of the year, you learn this. It's the same thing we have the opportunity to do. We may have to do it on the weekend. We may have to do it in the evening. We may have to do it 1 hour a week. We may have to do it 1 day a week, every day of the week, whatever fits your lifestyle, in addition to the public school. If your children are in private school, it's the same thing. Like, they could be in the best private school ever. There's nothing's going to be better than tailor making your children's experiences. And don't be afraid to travel. I'm also a huge fan of world schooling. Our life is our curriculum, being able to get out and about. Our world is our classroom, to be able to learn and feel. Homeschooling is not about being at home, the physical home. It's about being at home in your heart, and listening and following and opening up your true self to your children, and being able to, have that intimate exchange, keep your finger on the pulse, how they're doing, how they're feeling, and just being very present. So regardless of wherever you are, it's finding the ways and declaring it. And I'll tell you, when you do, finding a homeschool group, even if it's just finding another family, could be one family. A lot of people say, well, can I can't find a big homeschool collective like what you have in Atlanta. And I'll say, you don't need a big collective. You just need, even if it's just one other family that y'all can work together, you can bounce things off of, you can take trips together, you can do, there's so many ways that this can be done. You have homeschool co-ops, collective, you have homeschool programs, it's infinite. It's as far as we will allow our mind to go into travel and thought. But when we take that, you will see it will be the people you meet, the experiences that you have that will completely change, just from thoughts and just from actually taking a physical step. This right here is a physical step. So if you're here and that's because you're interested and you're curious. Allow that curiosity to, just open you up to more opportunities, finding different books that you can read, and definitely tap into Liberated Minds. You can go to liberatedmindsinstitute.com. You can sign up on our email list. We have a membership that we're getting ready to launch, which we're excited about. We have a directory there. We do trainings. We kind of help guide people. We do a little bit of everything. And so it is for us, by us, but it is, we're using our culture and we are embodying that in everything that we do. And a lot of that is just, erecting the village that we want to see. Because I don't want everybody in my village. You know what I'm saying? I don't want everybody in my village. So we got to create the village that we want to see. And it starts with us. So I just encourage everybody, definitely check out the book. The book is Why We Homeschool. And I think the Why We Homeschool is so important because we have to know our why. We got to know, why are we doing this, right? That's right. Core, the seed, the asili. Why are we doing this? Why is it so important? And when we attach ourselves to that, then, we can move through anything. We've been doing it. We've been doing it for all these years. We can move through all challenges, and the triumphs definitely outweigh that. So also for those who've been homeschooling, we still need those whys, because when things look kind of crazy, we have to go back to those whys to remind us, this is why I'm on the journey, so that way we can stay on the journey.
Absolutely. So Queen, for my Queen Amani, Amari, and I, we want to thank you so much for coming on again, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and understanding. And, doing this charitable deed, you taking out the time, doing something that is your profession that you get paid for, and taking out this moment to be able to give back to the community. So we want to commend you on that. And we want to say thank you. And also our audience at the same time with Synergetic Network Group LLC. Thank you for coming on and empowering us.
I want to send love out to everyone who's listening, and definitely reach out if you need anything. I'll leave our email is liberatedminds with an S, liberatedmindseducation@yahoo.com. I gave you the website. Our phone number is 678-368-8593. You can find us on IG at liberated_minds_expo, because that's another thing. We do a huge conference once a year that brings, over 1,000 people from all around the world that we're like-minded, because we have the same intentions and the same goals. We may go about it a little differently, but that's all right. We have the intention and the goals of making sure our children really, achieve and live in their divine purpose. So if any of you have questions, feel free to reach out, email us. And, thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome, Queen. No problem at all. Okay, family, we appreciate you all. Remember, Synergetic Network Group LLC, we are your community liaison for entrepreneurs and consumers, and we help our people to build generational wealth via business and investing. We do this by bringing on subject matter experts in those arenas. And remember, make sure that you advertise your business in the comment box, because nobody can support a business they don't know anything about. Peace and blessings and love, family. Boom, boom. You don't know what that means. Ancestors blessed.
Ashe.